Hi, my name is Neil Savoy, and I'm a Franciscan volunteer. And I'm here because I feel that doing a year of service is essential to being or living out the Catholic tradition.
Hi, my name is Sabina Marroquin, and I'm a Franciscan volunteer. And I felt called to a volunteer year because I wanted to see God more authentically in my life this year.
Hi, I'm Micah. I'm a Franciscan volunteer here with the Sisters of St. Francis. And I decided to become a volunteer because I wanted to take a year to serve and to be served in a way by the sisters, and also to be a part of the social justice movement that's taking place in Chester, and to really be a part of their lives and have them be a part of mine.
Why not? It's been a great adventure so far. I really find that it's very important that not only that we know our faith, but that we live it out as authentically as possible. So spending a year takes out a time in your life to intentionally do that in the way that God has called you to do.
For me, in my last semester of college, I went on a number of retreats with my campus ministry. And during that time, I found that it was really important to live out the Catholic faith in a way in which you're doing service for others, whether it's helping the marginalized, those who are in need, or any other community necessary in that regard.
I think it's particularly important to spend a year, and I think really it's something that should be considered by many young people, to take a year to volunteer in order to gain perspective in matters of what to do after college, what to do with your life in terms of not just kind of professional vocation, but kind of a spiritual vocation, how to help understand what your life means in the context of being in relationship. And I think that's really what makes our volunteer program something special, is that we're able to live in community with others and therefore develop as people because of that relational dynamic that we share. It also helps to develop a certain perspective of social justice issues that are relevant to our lives, and to develop as spiritual people, as Catholics, as people who are part of this larger narrative.
For me, it's about finding people that are committed to helping you along the way, whether it's helping you through your growth in your faith. For me, I came into the community, not having a strong Catholic grounding. I'd grown up being raised Catholic, but never really understood that faith in depth. But I found a community of people that were really grounded in their own faith, and that were ready to help me grow in some way or another through Mass, through other matters of that faith tradition. In addition to that, we've also found ways to help each other grow personally. We come together through our different challenges, and we all come out of it together.
I think to live in an intentional community setting means to really wrestle with yourself and with others, and to grow as an individual, but as a community. And I think, personally speaking, from my vantage point, I think intentional community has challenged me to reconcile my own identity with others, and help me to come to embrace others' differences, engage other people's narratives that are in many ways different from mine, but are still very important in the shaping of how we are as people or individuals. So I think intentional community is important because it informs who you are.
doing life with others is such a joy. It's also challenging and it's hard, but the beauties and the gifts that come from it always outweigh the challenges that come from it. Living with others, I've never had brothers growing up, so now that I live with two guys, that's always been very interesting, but they're really great. They leave the seat down and everything, so no problems there. But besides, like, we don't just live together, we do life together. So from our different ministries, coming home and sharing our days and sharing our faith, sharing our interests, whatever they may be, we're all so different. We come from different parts of the country that it's been a great adventure so far.
So for me, I'm at the Family Counseling Center of St. Paul's in Wilmington, Delaware. And at that Family Counseling Center, we work largely with the uninsured or underinsured, meaning that, people might have insurance, but the insurance is so low that it might not allow them to afford copays, especially for mental health matters. And in that regard, the Family Counseling Center offers services for those and is willing to work with them in terms of, finding affordable health care, mental health care especially, within the area, largely for the Hispanic community as well, in which there's such a demand for culturally competent counselors who are both knowledgeable in Spanish and in English to provide mental health services.
So my ministry site is at the Aquinas Center in South Philadelphia, which is a very diverse community, lots of different cultures. And one of the things that I'm doing in my ministry in particular is our parish has sponsored 2 families seeking asylum from Eritrea. So a lot of what I do is being present to these people, whether it's going to their house and watching Tarzan with the 5-year-old kids or helping them in English class. So a big part of what I do is being present to these people and meeting their needs as they come up.
Just kind of as a precursor, we all are part of various ministry sites, and that's really part of the body of the program. There's this component that is communal, where we all live together, we share resources, we pray together, but there's also this aspect that's what would be called apostolic, or having to do with service. And so my service site deals with serving and I guess in a way being served by the people of Chester. I work at a Franciscan hospitality center where I work with primarily lower income folk. And my role spans various titles. In many ways, I'm a cook when we have a luncheon on Thursday. Monday and Wednesday includes me teaching computer class. And then Tuesday we have a bingo event. And so my particular role is very diverse. And yet in each of these particular roles, I feel as if I'm serving a need for the people who come here as constituents of the center. People come here with diverse needs, with diverse backgrounds, in terms of their social background, their economic background, and so their needs are met. I feel as if through the relational aspect that we provide at the center, we're able to really connect with them on the various programs that we provide, through the computer classes, through the luncheon that we provide on Thursdays. And so it's really drawing from this center of forming relationships, creating connection with people.
It's been really interesting in that I have, a longer weekend than I might have in another program, and that I have time to sit down and reflect on the time I've had during the week. And then when Sunday comes around, I'm ready to go to Mass, enjoy the company of my other volunteers, and really just sit down and think about how what I'm doing is making a meaningful impact on the Wilmington area, and as well as being a meaningful impact beyond that of which the Sisters of St. Francis of Philadelphia do.
Being Franciscan is really great. I didn't really know a lot about the Franciscan spirituality until I came here, but a big part of what I've learned so far is that relationships is really important, and constant conversion is another big part of being Franciscan. So that has really helped me a lot in my spirituality in the last couple months, in the way that relationships are very important to me. I don't think anyone can make a greater investment than in relationships. So being able to have that be an important part of my life, work-wise, home-wise, being with the sisters, and all my communities, that is something that's been really important. So that's helped me help me grow closer to God. And also the constant conversion part of never feeling like I've reached a certain point, like this is it, or I'll never reach that point, but always feeling like there's always room to grow as well.
I found that I'm best able to connect with God through my interaction with different people. I'm often reminded of how Pope Francis talks about how God is not a God who is here to persecute. He's not here to judge, but he's here to offer love and to offer mercy. And I find that through my interactions with other people, and most of the times it's people who are very different from me, my own experience. And so I'm able to develop a spirituality that is very much based in humanity. And in other ways, I develop and experience my spirituality through kind of the quiet time of being able to come back from a long day and be able to just, silence myself and to go through the various thoughts and just be like, okay, Michael, where have you seen God? Where have you experienced his love in others, in your daily interactions? And I think it's through those quiet times where I'm able to gather myself in prayer and in contemplation, meditation, that I also see a very unique side of God in myself.
For me, one of the largest values I find is the humility of the Franciscan tradition, and that you find with other traditions, and that not necessarily that there's a pride associated with it, but that you don't find the same sense of humility in the way that their service is practiced. And that I think for the Franciscans, there's this sense of everything that we're doing is for, and under the greater grace of God in some way or some capacity. And that for the Franciscans, it's what can I be doing right now to help those that are most in need, because those are the best representatives of what God wants. And so I find that every day when I'm working with the people at the Family Counseling Center.
This is more of a kind of like an umbrella question, because it kind of encompasses all these other questions. How I see myself being Franciscan. Really, I think it just kind of goes back to the relational dynamics, being able to foster relationships across cultural, cross socio-political boundaries. Seeing yourself in others, and doing so in a way that is empathetic as opposed to patronizing. And I think that's what it means to be Franciscan. It's the relational aspect. It's being able to develop as a person, as an individual through others, and to see yourself in that light. And I really think that's reflective of how Francis lived. He was able to witness God, able to witness to God's creation, to ultimately God himself, these kind of like three aspects, in a way that was primarily through relationship.
The Franciscan sisters are great right off from when Sister Sarah met me at the airport until until today. Being a part of the community has been, I've always felt so welcomed, and the sisters are so wonderful. We invite them over to our house for game nights. They'll stop by and drop off cookies. Being away from home is not as difficult when you feel like you have people that care about you and are creating a second home for you.